I just heard, a scream that I'll never forget for sure. And she just, started hyperventilating, and it took a minute to figure out, what was happening. And then from there, it was just like kind of an instant realization that all of our entire lives are never going to be the same.
Well, last week we discussed an Ohio couple who had been murdered in their home, and there was no suspect at the time. There is now, and an arrest for the murder of Spencer and Monuqie Tepe. In custody is Monique's ex-husband, Michael David McKee. So we are joined by Ann Emerson of Criminally Obsessed with the latest on this really disturbing case. Ann, thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I agree. This is one of those cases that's keeping people up at night. It really is.
Okay, so 10 days, the arrest is made 10 days after the death. Talk about the time frame here.
Well, exactly. And that's what I think was really worrying everyone. I've been working with a criminologist, forensic criminologist, Dr. Laura Petler, on our show to kind of understand why it's taking or took so long to get an arrest, when it turns out it's the ex-husband that they have now arrested, Michael David McKee. Now, what we saw in the affidavit is really what we have to go on. And what we're hearing in the affidavit was there was surveillance video that was collected from the area from around where Monuqie and Spencer Tepe were killed, where the murders happened at their home. Remember, they died, they think, around 4 a.m., a little before 4 a.m. was when police think these murders occurred. There were two small children in the house who were unharmed, as well as a dog, but there was no forced entry. All we had was this video you can see of this person of interest, and we still don't know if that's Michael McKee. But what we've been told in this affidavit is that there was surveillance of a vehicle that has been tracked all the way up to where Michael McKee lives. He's a vascular surgeon. They were able to track that car back to Rockford, Illinois, 450 miles away, which is something. We're talking 6-hour trip. So they found this car up there, and that's when they arrested Michael McKee.
Okay, so this seems to be strange in many regards because of the time frame between when they were married, when Monuqie and Michael were married, only 2 years, 2015 to 2017, and it was believed to be an amicable divorce or a split. And then we have this in 2025 or 2026.
Well, exactly. And that was hard. I think a lot more information is going to be coming out about that whole situation, too. And I think we need to understand that, and kind of, as we go through this, realize that that affidavit was just enough to arrest Michael McKee, right? So they got just enough to arrest the suspect that they wanted. They've been able to upgrade the charges to premeditated aggravated murder, which could carry the death penalty, by the way. But the reason that they kept it closed-lipped is because we believe that the prosecution has a lot more ammunition at this point to go forward with the prosecution, right? So one thing that is sticking in my head, and I think it's going to come back, is that yes, they've been divorced for 8 years. She's gone on and had this incredible marriage to her new husband, Spencer Tepe, who she did not even marry for another 4 years. So all of those normal questions we would be thinking about, was there, something else going on? I tell you what's sticking in my mind, that there was a hearing in June of 2025, and this is about their divorce. And that's just last summer, right? So why did they go back to court on this divorce? Why are we hearing that there was some kind of action taken into the courts on their divorce back in June of 2025? But as far as McKee goes, I have to say he is a mystery. We're talking a vascular surgeon, appears to be quite successful, and also you can't find him on social media. This is not a guy that you're going to see, in a bunch of Facebook pictures on social media. So what we know about McKee is really that he's a surgeon, that he's lived in a lot of different states. He was in Virginia, he was in Nevada, he was in Illinois, and now he is charged with a heinous crime.
And as we understand it, he has no criminal record either, just maybe some traffic-related tickets?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, so This is suspectology that we're going to have to go through. But if you really listen to what we've been talking about on the podcast as well with Dr. Laura Petler on our podcast, which you can find on YouTube, what we're hearing is that this was if this suspect that they're looking at would be an anger retaliatory situation where there was a real need. And this would be termed as some kind of DV murder, a domestic violence murder. So these are the sort of things that we need to be looking at as far as how this plays into an aggravated murder charge. What was going through Michael McKee's mind if if he allegedly shot and killed Spencer and Monuqie in the middle of the night? That they're going to have to, they've got a long road ahead of them to prove that this very successful, highly educated surgeon living up in Illinois came down and committed this act. I think this is I don't think prosecution would be putting harder charges on this guy if they did not have some real proof. So I think a lot's going to come out in the next few days. It looks like he's waived his extradition because he's up in Illinois right now. That's where they got him on Saturday. They're going to waive that. So he says, get me back to Ohio. I want to face these charges as soon as possible. We have another hearing next Monday, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the sheriffs just don't work together to get him back into Columbus as soon as possible so we can get this going.
And when we spoke last week, obviously there was no mention of him, but I'm sure investigators, when they learned of these deaths, they started looking into their past marital history right away, probably.
I absolutely think you're right. One thing that we did see early on, because we were able to see, court records of what happened in their divorce file. And what we did see was that it was a mutual restraining order, but that's not unusual. Monuqie filed for incompatibility reasons and was awarded the divorce. He got the house in Virginia. I just don't think that there was a lot in there for us to say, wow, this guy has a massive red flag on him. But obviously, like with these surveillance video, that's going to be very, very important. And to see what that GPS, those cell phones, those cameras start looking like. Do we have any information that's going to link him on that physical evidence? But you cannot for 1 minute discount the whole idea that we've got to look at the behavior of this suspect and the victims and what was going on at the time of the murders.
Okay. Ann Emerson with Criminally Obsessed, thank you for talking with us about the case. I know we'll learn a lot more in the days and weeks to come.
Yeah, please. We're gonna have a lot more on this case, and hopefully we're gonna find justice for this beautiful couple.
All right. Ann, thank you. I'm going to